Hey everyone, I am Nikki Shelton with Real Broker and welcome to Keeping It Real, where we talk about everything real estate right here in Kitsap County. Today we're going to be breaking down something that a lot of people are very curious about, but honestly aren't sure where to start. What does it actually cost to get a home here in 2026? Before we dive in, I want to show you a quick clip from a recent open house that I did with one of my favorite lenders, Melanie Rowe with All Western Mortgage. So here, let's take a look. Keep Point Listing, and I'm with Melanie Rowe. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Nikki.
Okay, you guys. So one of the things that when we start marketing a property, we think about who the audience could be. Right now, this could be great for somebody who needs the single family living. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things. There's 2 bathrooms, which makes this really nice. So maybe if you have a like a roommates type situation, that would be really good. Small family would be great for some home buyer. Tell me about some of the loans that you could use for this particular home.
Okay. I mean, this home is in a USDA eligible area, so you could get USDA financing.
Okay.
You could do FHA, you could do VA, obviously you could do a conventional loan. You could get down payment assistance on this, but this would also be a good candidate for a rehab loan just for cosmetics. This is a very solid, good bones little house that has been very, very well maintained. But you might want to do some new flooring, maybe some paint throughout, and the kitchen is great, so you probably wouldn't need to do appliances. All right, but even, if you did want to do appliances, you could even do that with a VA or FHA rehab loan. It doesn't have to be a big thing where you're tearing down walls or adding a room. It can just be small cosmetic things, and this home would be a great candidate for that.
Okay. So here's the thing. A lot of people they don't even want to take the first step. I mean, it's like they're so worried about what's out there, what's coming at them, that they don't even know what the first step is to take. So what we want to do today is we want to break down those numbers so that way we can give you some real idea of what it is. So first of all, we got to put a little thing on here though, right? This is a disclaimer. Mm-hmm. These are all estimates. There's no actual numbers. And we're going to talk a little bit why here, because we want you to understand that there's things that you can negotiate on. But we're going to try to fix about how scary this can be for some people, because a lot of people just stop because they just hear, oh my God, it's so expensive, but they don't actually find out what these are. So we're looking at 3 different price points today. We're looking at $450,000, $500,000, and $550,000. Just to kind of give you a realistic picture of what it looks like to get into a home. And so every number that we share is just an estimate again, and there's a lot of variables and everything's negotiable. And your actual numbers actually depends a lot on your specific situation too, right?
Yes, absolutely. It
does.
So,
but to give you a start, a good selling point, we're going to have Melanie take away. Melanie, thank you so much for coming and welcome on today. We're going to go ahead and dive in, and you can I'm going to put up a little sheet that we created. And again, keep in mind, you guys, these are estimates. It's like, okay, I'm going to talk about the buyer broker commission. So you can sit down with your broker and you can negotiate any price you want. I mean, they have to agree to it, right? I mean,
right.
I mean, most brokers aren't going to work for free. So they're probably not going to take 0%. I can almost guarantee that. You might find, I don't know, maybe you'll find a relative, who knows? Right? Maybe. But for the most part, I mean, they still have costs and stuff, so they're probably still going to charge you something. Sometimes they'll do it at a dollar amount. Sometimes it's a percentage. I just kept it simple. I just put it between 2 and 3%. Again, that number can vary a lot. So depends on your situation, depends on who you're talking to. And same thing for closing costs and how you, when you're applying for a loan and stuff like that, there's a lot of factors in there that has to do with what you can get. But I do want to look at some of the couple different loans, and just kind of look at some real, what that 2 or 3% would mean. And same thing for closing costs. What does that look like? And kind of a total. So I'm going to shut up now and let me talk.
So yeah, in terms of dollars, right? Out of pocket money, we have, FHA and conventional on this chart. USDA and VA are 0 down. So when you're talking about down payment, that would be a 0 there. FHA requires a minimum of 3.5% down. So if you got an FHA loan at this price point of $450,000,
3.5% is $15,750.
Okay.
If you got a conventional loan and put down 5%, that's $22,500 at $450,000. So if you were to bump that up, not on this house, but to $500,000 for FHA, 3.5% down is $17,500. 5% down would be $25,000. And to bump it up a little bit more to $550,000, 3.5% would be $19,250 down, and conventional would be $27,500. So that's the down payment. Now, in addition to the down payment, there's closing costs, which a lot of people, especially first-time home buyers, don't realize.
Right.
And
so closing costs, let's
Mhm.
talk a little bit about those. So that would
Okay.
be like title and escrow, what you pay
Mhm.
them to do it. And again,
Mhm.
that's negotiable because you don't have to go with a certain title and escrow place. You can literally shop around
right.
and find the best deal. You kind of get what you pay for still sometimes, like with everything.
Mhm.
But, finding that they're usually pretty close, though, in my
The
opinion.
title and escrow companies' fees are usually pretty close. And there are those you can shop around for, but a
Mhm.
closing cost is also the appraisal fee, and you don't have the option to shop around for that.
Right.
If there are any lender fees that are charged, that's, you can shop around for that because different lenders may charge different fees.
Right.
Um,
HOA,
mhm.
property taxes,
Homeowners insurance.
homeowners insurance. That one keeps going up and up and up.
Yes, it does.
Along with property taxes.
But
here in
it's also
Washington.
something that you shop for. You choose your own homeowners insurance provider. And then recording everything with the county. I mean, that's over $700.
Yep.
So when we talk about closing costs being a percentage of the purchase price, you have
varies.
well, it does because, if it's costs $722 to record everything with the county, that's a greater percentage of $450,000 than it is of $550,000, right?
Absolutely.
So some of those fixed costs, the cost of an appraisal, which depending on a variety of factors, the appraisal may be anywhere from $600 to $900, but
Mhm.
still, that's a greater percentage of $450,000 than it is of $550,000. So closing costs typically are about 2 to 3% of the purchase price, which again, on a $450,000 home, that's $9,000 to $13,500.
Yep.
That's 2 to 3%. On a $500,000 loan, it's $10,000 to $15,000, and on a $550,000 purchase, not loan, purchase, $11,000 to $16,500, and in addition to the down payment.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So let's just look at the 500 just because those numbers seem easier to me.
Okay.
So if you did an FHA, right, it was 22,000. Where's
17,500 down.
Okay, let's use the other one. Let's use conventional, the 5%. So that was 22,000, right?
25,000.
25,000. Okay,
Yep.
25,000. And then you have your closing costs and an estimate. Let's do I always go for the higher ones, you
Yes.
guys. And this is why I do this, because then if you come in under that, you're actually happy.
Right.
So what would the higher one be?
15,000.
15,000. So you got 25 and 15, so 40, right?
$40,000.
And then your buyer broker is going to probably be another one. So you're looking at like $55,000 down to buy a home. Oh my God, that's scary.
That's a big number. It's hard to save that much money.
It is. So what do you do? What we told you guys when we talked a couple of weeks ago. And if you haven't watched that, you definitely need to go back and watch that show because it's very, you come up with the strategy on how you're going to do it. You're still going to have to come up with the down payment unless you're in one of those other types of loans, but you're still going to have to come up. I mean, let's just say, $30,000 right there, right?
Mhm.
Some-ish,
Yep.
close-ish.
Yep.
For your closing costs and buyer brokers, but those things can be negotiated with the sellers. And if you're a seller, you can look and find out why we tell you that sometimes it's a really, really good idea to do that. And that was in 2 weeks before this one. So good idea. Check it out. But you guys, it's not hopeless. You can do this. It's not quite as scary. Right. I feel better. It's still a big number, but knowing that there's a plan and that you can actually do something, I think helps.
Absolutely. There are a lot of, we talked about down payment assistance. I don't want to dive into that because we talked about it before, but you can get down payment assistance for the down payment and you can negotiate with the seller to pay closing costs. They don't have to say yes, but they can't say yes if you don't ask.
You can negotiate with your broker. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of them are, sometimes they're willing to help out a little bit.
Right.
Sometimes they can't because they also have fees and stuff. And
Right.
you ever want to talk about that one? I can tell you how many fees we have. That's a lot. But
yeah.
anyway, so it is one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make. And you don't have to figure out alone is kind of the bottom thing. There are resources, there's help out there. So today's video gave you a little bit more clarity. That's exactly why we do what we're doing today and sitting down here talking. And remember, every single number that you see today is just a starting point. It's not the final answer. Your
Right.
situation is unique, and we're here to help you figure out exactly what your path looks like. If you're ready to talk about buying or selling, go ahead and reach out to me. I would love to sit down with you and map out your next step. And if you want to get a pre-approval, would be best.
Find out what your loan options
Yes,
are.
talk to Melanie here at All Western Mortgage.
Yeah.
She is here. She's your person. And don't forget to follow us so you never miss an episode of Keeping It Real. Go ahead and drop any questions in the comments. I like to read every single one of them, and I do try to respond. And sometimes you guys give me some good topics, and I like to bring them up. So share those, please. And if you know someone who's thinking about buying, just have them reach out to me. I'm Nikki Shelton. This is Keeping It Real, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki.